The purpose of this virtual tour stop is to showcase some of the more ecologically focused silvicultural treatments being conducted on the McCain Tract Forest Management Area in Hope County. This is a 360 video, so if you would, just go ahead and follow me around. You can use your mouse or your finger to follow along. And we're just going to take a quick walk around this plot, give you an idea of the structure of the stand that we're working in. As you can see, we've got, kind of a variable density level of both longleaf and shortleaf pine out here. And I can tell you that most of the trees that you see standing around you are about 120 years old, which is pretty typical of this site. Most of it was cut over 120 years ago, so this is what we have now. But prior to harvesting this stand, we had about another 80 or so square feet of loblolly pine per acre out here. So it was a pretty high density stand, pushing about 160, 170 square feet per acre. So we took a lot of wood off of this site. But it's the way that we took it off that I kind of want to showcase. So given the age of this stand and given the condition of it prior to harvest, it was not meeting any of our objectives as far as red-cockaded woodpecker guidelines. A density that high, like 160 to 170 square feet per acre, you're not getting a lot of sunlight down to the forest floor. So we really lacked that ground layer that we would want for red-cockaded woodpecker habitat. The other thing is that's just so many trees per acre. That's not a woodland. That's a closed canopy forest. So keep in mind the kind of lower end that we want out here would be like 40 square feet per acre. So we wanted to do two things. One, start thinking about regenerating this stand. The other thing we wanted to think about was kickstart the restoration process towards more red-cockaded woodpecker habitat. So instead of doing our kind of standard procedure out here, which tends to be kind of a shelter wood with reserves where we retain about 30 to 50 square feet of basal area per acre of longleaf and then retain those and let them drop seed and provide shelter for the next cohort, we decided to leave a variable retention level. So we left between 0 and 80 square feet of longleaf and shortleaf per acre on the site. We left shortleaf because shortleaf and longleaf were about the same age on this site, whereas the loblolly that was out here was 30 or 40 years younger and came in when fire suppression started on this stand. So loblolly just wasn't what we wanted out here. Shortleaf and longleaf both proved that they can survive that kind of fire regime that used to take place out here. Anyway, so we retained between 0 and 80 square feet of those species. But by retaining that range, that means the middle of that range is 40 square feet, which is right there at that threshold that we need for red-cockaded woodpecker, good quality red-cockaded woodpecker habitat. So we were able to do our shelter wood style harvest, but also stay within the guidelines of the recovery plan. And also our goal really was to add a little bit of complexity to the stand. Instead of just doing that geometric thing where we leave a tree every 70 feet or something like that to meet our basal area target, we left that range. And what we hope that does is that just will add a little bit of a gradient of environmental conditions across this site. We'll have high density areas that maybe provide a little refugia for insects and wildlife species. We'll have open areas which should have really good regeneration, at least we hope it will. So again, just kind of look around. If you look up the hill, that would be a high density area. If you look behind you, actually this is a little bit misleading according to the video, but what we have here is we have a gap over here and we have a gap over here. In reality, that's one big gap. And the trees you see right behind me, that's a little cluster of aggregated retention that we left right in the middle of that gap. So again, it's kind of providing that refugia. It's a little bit of a seed source to hopefully throw out into that otherwise large gap. The reason we had gaps that large is A, we wanted some complexity out there. The other is we had areas where we just didn't have any nice loblolly or shortleaf, or loblolly, shortleaf, any longleaf, shortleaf pine. All we had was loblolly, and we didn't want to leave any loblolly because it can throw so much seed so frequently and so far that we'd be battling it once we try to reintroduce fire onto this site. So I'm going to check my time. Yep, I think I need to end this video, but I'll follow up with the next phases of this.